Hello, fellow Earthlings. This is Earthling 64554633728. And Disney Plus's greatest strength, the Marvel Universe, and let's say the Star Wars franchise, are also its greatest weakness. And I'm going to get into that in a moment. As usual, I am Earthling Yada Yada Yada, an anonymous YouTuber who's been an ex-army reservist. I've traveled a lot, I have a couple of degrees. I got a full tuition scholarship a long time ago to get my computer science degree, and I take care of my uncle with dementia. Disney Plus, I think they have something like 100 million subscribers. And one of the huge reasons I think that many people would want to subscribe to Disney Plus might be for current hits like WandaVision, for example, or because it's where you would find, outside of movie theaters, many of the Marvel movies. You'd also find a lot of the Star Wars movies as well. And at the moment, right now, in 2021, this is the accomplishment. I'd say it's been a couple of years since the major accomplishment that anybody who grew up a part of their youth spent reading comic books. This would be one of the most satisfying periods of time that you could have, it's a dream come true to see these panels of superheroes projected into a real life screen, and everything that you imagined was happening in between the drawn panels from the comic books. You're actually seeing that actually being created and happening from second to second, as exactly as you could have imagined it, probably even better. There are so many scenes that you might want to just go back and play over and over and over to capture every single detail, to savor all of the colors, all of the excitement. I mean, I'm thinking of, for example, X-Men, and looking at one version of Quicksilver going around a room and basically, saving Wolverine from, I think the mansion was being destroyed, just going around and saving people. That moment, when I think about it, is just, it's so delicious. It's so awesome. It is everything that you would have ever wanted to see, honestly. I think I've only seen that actual scene once, because I'm not really the type of person to replay that stuff. If it was on YouTube, maybe, I might do that on YouTube, or if it was on some kind of a Netflix thing, then yeah. But normally I don't. But it just fills me with so much joy just imagining that. The problem for Disney Plus is that eventually I outgrew comic books and I never went back. I mean, part of it was that comic books took up income that I didn't have to spend in order to keep track of all of the different storylines and the crossovers, and it just grew to be too much. It was unaffordable for me to keep track of every different title that might have information that, or things that might be exciting and interesting, and I couldn't access it for free from some other place. So after a while I was just like, but even when I went back, And I looked at some of these titles. I was just like, there's too much stuff going on here. There is just too many crazy things. It was like a soap opera. And don't get me wrong, I have, I had my grandmother and my grandmother's sister, and I spent a lot of time with them, and I followed soaps for a while, but just like soap operas, maybe it was time, maybe it was anything else, eventually I outgrew, let's say The Young and the Restless or whatever else I was looking at, and it just, all of the things, the little problems where I'm my own grandma in the soap opera, because you have to use the characters that are in front of you. So now everybody in every relationship and every involvement and every plot line has to involve the characters that are in front of you. So after a while, everything becomes, this huge incestuous scenario where, yes, you remember that time when I killed you and became one of your twins and stole your brain and your sister and your siblings and it was just like a mess with respect to soap operas, and it was like a mess with respect to, plot lines and everything else. And it has been a really great ride for now, where we have been able to keep track of things that happen. For example, that movie with Chris Pratt where he's a guy out in space there, I can't remember the name, or the Avengers, the thing with Thanos. And then, there was that other problem in comics where, after, for example, with respect to Superman has fought and beaten everybody. So people became kind of blasé about Superman. So in the end, they had to do the ultimate in order to keep people interested. They had to kill Superman. And it was interesting, and they brought back these different versions of Superman, and some of them weren't actually Superman. And I don't even know how that got resolved in the end. It was just too complicated. And just like any series, as a matter of fact, not even comic books, things, you start losing people as time passes. People may have missed a particular movie, so they don't understand what happened here and what happened there. And right now we're really at the edge of it. We are nowhere near close to, I think, the time where droves of people will have given up on the Marvel Universe and gone on to something else. But right now, something like WandaVision, I've not seen it, but when the trailers that I saw for it, they were, to me, blowing my mind. I loved the idea of Wanda, as far as I understand, just from the trailers, being able to create this other reality. As far as I know, it's every week perhaps, or every edition, she might have created a somewhat different reality, and everything's kind of up and down. I heard Tim Chantarang-Su talking about that, where there's speculation about this and that, kind of like the same kind of speculation that people had when Lost was going on, or Game of Thrones, and those things lasted for a long time. But just like with Iron Man, there you can't have, I know in Spanish soap operas, it's slightly different from English. You have, well, I think I'm losing my example. English soap operas, American soap operas really go on forever. Spanish soap operas wrap up. But my point is, eventually you keep paying people more and more, for example, like Iron Man. And people, you reach a point where it's like, yeah, it's not going to make much sense to continue this franchise, this TV show, this whatever, because we can't afford to keep paying you. You know, all of us would have heard when Seinfeld, everybody in Seinfeld was getting like $1 million per episode. Or you would have heard when the people on Friends were getting $1 million per episode. So why didn't they just continue Friends forever? Well, Seinfeld, I think he says that he wanted to wrap up because he found that he wanted to go out on a high. Very infamously, he was on Larry King, and apparently Larry King didn't know this, and he was a little bit annoyed, I think. He's like, don't you do any research? You know, yeah, we were the number one show when we left. But you can't keep increasing people's salaries forever while your viewership might be going down as the years progress, unless, you know, it's something like The Simpsons. And even with The Simpsons, as far as I know, the people on The Simpsons maybe agreed to some kind of salary cap or something. That's why The Simpsons can and did and does continue. And maybe even the guys from South Park, because their production costs have, you know, certain limitation. They can do the cartoons in cheap countries, and etc. But yeah, you can't just keep having a franchise go on and on and on indefinitely, in many instances, because the contractual agreements prove to be unwieldy. And that's why I would imagine, what's his name from Iron Man, you know, part of the reason why they were like, okay, we'll kill you off and whatever. But I think as the years progress, the enthusiasm that people have for Star Wars, especially as more and more of them are, you know, can come out, and people notice more and more plot holes and whatever else, these things can't continue indefinitely. On the opposite side, and, you know, I'm taking forever to get into this though, is Netflix, who keeps on bringing lots and lots of original material. And they don't have something like the Marvel Universe. They don't have something like Star Wars. I know they wanted to have a second Bright, for example, but that doesn't seem to have panned out. But they have all of these different types of, and they also have that recommender engine that they took a really long time to create, that helps them to know, hey, what kind of movie to create in order to satisfy people. And they have these things like Tiger King. As far as I know, Last Dance was on Netflix there. They keep having all of these disparate, and if you think of this like the stock market, they are not invested in just the one or two franchises. They have content and categorized and fine-tuned how and what type of movies to create, what people will be interested in. I think that in time, Disney Plus is going to see ramifications of having such an initially strong piece of intellectual property as the Marvel Universe, as the Star Wars franchise, etc. Those things are going to run down. For example, Superman movies. Who exactly wants to see that? Superman's been around for a really long time, and it just won't take as long for people to get fed up of all these other things as it took for them to get fed up of Superman. I think we're in phase 4 of the Marvel Universe, and already, you know, there are a lot of structural problems that are happening. A lot of these people who, I can't remember the actual names, but these people who were involved in Avengers, who are involved and like the directors are ending up in a kind of social ramification problems where you were so powerful and so influential, and maybe you treated people in a particular way and they weren't having it. So things are coming back to bite important people in the Marvel universe. So that's a whole nother ball game altogether. But yeah, that's it for me for now. I keep forgetting to tell you guys to like at the beginning. I'm gonna have to like make a whole video about that maybe. I don't know. But feel free to like, subscribe, share, any of that YouTube stuff. Keeping in mind, what would you like if you were putting out content on YouTube? Have a good one. Peace.